A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. As usual, let us start with the snippets. The very first one, damage control. Nadda stand against MP's hypocrisy, Congress. There's one important word here. Generally, people say hypocrisy, but look at the spelling. What is the spelling here? Hypocrisy. It is like double standards. You say something, but you don't implement that, or you say something in front of someone, but you say something else behind that person. That is known as hypocrite. The person is called hypocrite. Very good, Bhanu. I appreciate that. Otherwise, nothing to learn as such. Damage control. What is this damage control? It goes with two contexts. One, some policy or some action results in some sort of negative impact. To correct that, we do. That time we say damage control. But sometimes what happens? Backstabbing is entirely different. Backstabbing is different. Hypocrisy is different. Both are entirely different. Backstabbing goes more with imagine you trust someone. That person cheats you. That is known as betrayal. Formal English, everyday English, backstabbing. Both are different. Coming to this damage control, imagine someone has reputation, a very good reputation, and because of some act, his reputation takes a beating. Then he tries to correct that. Then also we can say damage control. It goes with one's reputation. It also goes with a particular impact of a particular policy or something. Otherwise, nothing to learn from this. Let us go to the second one. Expanding territory. You can see the cheetahs over here, but the pic is not very clear. Expanding territory. Two cheetahs shifted to Gandhi Sagar sanctuary. Territory, all know the word, a simple word, and expanding, spreading out, expanding territory. What does it go with? It goes with cheetahs. Two cheetahs shifted to Gandhi Sagar sanctuary. And you all know this is about wildlife. I always tell smart learners when you see a particular word like sanctuary or cheetahs, you have to recollect all the words that go with wildlife, like habitat, loss of habitat, deforestation, species, genus, endangered, extinct, conservation, preservation, all these words, sanctuary, and also national park, all these you have to recollect. It goes with conservation efforts. Now let us go to the next one. What is this about? 289 arrested so far. There's an important phrase here. Try to guess why is it important so far. Whenever you see the phrase so far, it means from the past to the present. Then you have to think of present perfect tense. From the past to the present, a situation begins in the past, comes to the present, we use present perfect tense. That you have to recollect, very important. And also, imagine that an action begins in the past, comes to the present, may go into future. Then you should use present perfect continuous tense. Vishnu, very good. Habitat, deforestation, endangered, all these words you have to have at your fingertips. Women suffered most in Murshidabad NCW. Murshidabad, I'm sorry. Women suffered most in Murshidabad. I have read out a few snippets. Violence in West Bengal, especially because of the Waqf Amendment Bill, especially in Murshidabad. And the impact of that, who got affected? Men, women, children. This snippet says, women suffered most in Murshidabad. Going to the next one. Usually I tell you guys something like this. A red backdrop, white letters, very important. M.K. Stalin on federal autonomy. There's one important word here, federal. There are two terms, if you look at the basics, that go with polity. One is unitary, the other one federal. Indian constitution is quasi-federal, not quasi. How do you pronounce that? Quasi-federal. What is this quasi-federal? Partly it is unitary in nature, partly it is federal in nature. That means states have their own rights. This one talks about M.K. Stalin on federal autonomy. Here, federal means the states. And what is a new snippet? Ensuring a fair balance because it is quasi federal. The union has certain rights, the states have certain rights, and it is the onus, the responsibility is on the government to make sure that the states get a fair share of power and the whole thing is balanced properly. Fair has many meanings. I have told you guys many a time. It usually goes with complexion, fair complexion, dark complexion. Usually people make a mistake. When they talk about complexion, they use words like black and white. They are not the right terms. You have to say fair complexion, dark complexion. But if you take many Indians, they're in between. Then we use two words. One is brownish, the other one wheatish. Brownish complexion, wheatish complexion. Another meaning of the word fair, just, proper. She has got a fair treatment, means what? She has got a proper treatment. And also it goes with village fair. That is another word. When all the villagers, those who have something to sell, they gather once a week at a particular place. That is called a village fair. And you have to recollect in this context another word, fare, F-A-R-E. What is a fare from here to Warangal? What is a fare from Hyderabad to Warangal? That talks about the cost, the price, the cost of traveling from Hyderabad to Warangal. All these words, these two words come under confusing words, but it is imperative, another important word. What is the meaning of imperative? Imperative means something important, vital, crucial. It is imperative. It is crucial. It is vital. It is imperative now that states reclaim their guaranteed rights. Reclaim. When you feel something is being lost, you try to claim it and you do it again, then reclaim. In this context, states they should reclaim what? Their guaranteed rights. The rights of the states, where are they guaranteed? They are guaranteed in the Constitution. Based on that, they have to demand, they have to call for their rights. It talks about that. An important article because you have to go through this. Today, because of courtesy, Tamil Nadu CM Stalin, two or three things are in the limelight. One is the language row, the other one is delimitation row, and the third one, the rights of the states, and fourth one, the role of the governor. All these topics have been in the limelight because of the Tamil Nadu CM Stalin. There's also an important dimension one has to look at. Coming to the next snippet goes with sports. Giants deliver. I've told you guys many a time. How do we pronounce this giant? But look at the spelling Giant, not Gai. There you have to be careful, have given many a time. Kohli shines for RCB. Rohit guides Mumbai Indians home. You must have watched the matches last evening and last night also. Based on that, this particular snippet. Now let us go to the headline from today's Hindu paper. This is the headline from the Hindu paper. You can see the devastation made by a natural calamity. How does it go? 5 year dead in Jammu and Kashmir in cloudburst havoc. Cloudburst havoc. Havoc we have got many a time. Nail biting match, very good. That's what we say. Keeps you on edge. It kept you on edge. On edge means a lot of tension, anxious, on your toes. On your toes means being active. Coming to this natural calamity or natural disaster or mishap, havoc. Havoc goes with wreak havoc, you have to recollect. Who is this? Likita, very good. I appreciate that. And Naidu also. Whenever you see the word havoc, you have to recollect the idiom. Wreak havoc means what? Cause immense damage. And usually because of what? A natural calamity, a catastrophe. Wreak havoc. Here, damage, it talks about damage. Cloudburst. I think it goes with because of heavy rains in Jammu and Kashmir. Here, cloudburst in the sense heavy rains. When I use the expression heavy rains, you have to recollect idioms like rain, cats and dogs, rain in torrents. All these you have to recollect. Government yet to issue official number of people dead or injured. More than 100 rescued in Ramban after landslips, flash floods, leave people stranded. Landslips, landslides, when chunk of earth or ground comes down, we call it landslide. Usually it happens in a region which has valleys, mountain region, mountains and valleys. And coming to flash floods, today when you watch TV, you all know flash news, but here flash floods means unexpected. When you see a word like floods, you have to recollect words like, what is this? Floods means inundation. Inundation is one word, and deluge, you have to recollect another word, and submerge, another word. Stranded, people stranded. Stranded, this word came into the limelight, though earlier the media used many a time. At the time of COVID 19, this word came into the limelight because that time the lockdown, many migrant workers got stranded. All of a sudden, lockdown, they could not move from the place they were staying. That means they got stranded. Stranded means what? To get stuck. In formal English, you cannot move from one place to another place, no transport. Then we say, I got stranded. Isolated is a different word altogether. Coming to the pic here, it shows a damage caused by the cloudburst. Swept away, swept away because of floods. Vehicles also get swept away. And vehicles stuck in debris. We all know, we have got many a time. Debris, the remains of a building, the rubble, the debris. But the letter S is silent. In debris after heavy rain and flash floods in Ramban. About the same thing, there's a pic over here. Let us go to the snippets on the left. Government panel slams Hindi in schools in Maharashtra. Now, one more state that is in the limelight regarding language row, that is Maharashtra state. What does it say? Government panel slams Hindi in schools in Maharashtra. Usage of Hindi in schools in Maharashtra. Based on that, government panel slams. Slams we have got many a time. What does it mean? Harsh criticism. Criticize, exactly, Pavani. Castigate. Castigate has a subtle different meaning, but you can definitely recollect. I appreciate that. That's an important word. Government panel slams Hindi in schools in Maharashtra. Already the row has been there in Tamil Nadu state. And flat means criticism. Yes, Pavani, you can think of that word. Sanjay Bandari opposes ED's plea in Delhi court. Someone opposes what? ED's plea. Plea is a legal term, but everyday English we say a request. And a legal term, formal we say urge. Plea is a legal term. Plea, a request, urge, all these you have to recollect. India, EU can tie up to frame space policy, says envoy. Envoy, you can also use the word ambassador, diplomat. They all mean the same. It talks about tie up between European Union and India regarding space policy. That's an important snippet. 25 killed in Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip. This has been going on for quite some time. Israel has been attacking the Gaza Strip. And the recent one, it says, the news item says, 25 people got killed. Airstrikes across the Gaza Strip. Now let us go to the other headlines. Here you have a pic, an important word. I'll tell you why it is important. Summer fleet. The word fleet usually goes with ships, fleet of ships, squadron of aeroplanes. But fleet also goes with, imagine a person has about 20 or 30 buses or 100 buses he operates across the country or across the states. That also we use, for that also we use the word fleet. Fleet of taxis, fleet of ships, fleet of buses. But literally it goes with ships, do remember. But modern English, it goes with buses, it goes with cars. Here you can see the tankers, summer fleet. You can see a lot of water tankers. Based on that, the word fleet has been used. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta flagged off 1,111 location-enabled tankers on Sunday. The tankers that can be tracked from the Jal board have been deployed in view of the summer. Have been deployed. Which tense is that? Try to respond. The tankers have been deployed. It is in present perfect passive voice. And deploy we have got many a time to place in position. Because summer, you all know, water scarcity. To meet that possible threat, the Delhi government must have deployed water tankers. You can see the pic. Let us go to the next headline. This is also an important one because the other day I did one editorial. A lot of Indian students' future is at stake in the US. Already they've got badly affected. All eyes on a likely policy statement as Vance arrives today on rare US Vice President visit. You can see the US Vice President. He is going to visit India. Limelight. Who is in the limelight? The US President. He is in the limelight, Donald Trump. All eyes on someone, all eyes on something. Means people look at that person, look at that thing, eagerly, waiting for something to happen. All eyes on a likely policy statement as Vance arrives today on rare US Vice President visit. Vice President of the US, he is going to visit, and all eyes on him and waiting for some sort of policy statement, especially something related to, there are two dimensions which Indian government may discuss. One goes with tariffs, trade, business, bilateral, and the second one goes with the future of Indian students over there, deportation, illegal stay, all these aspects. Very important. Let us go down and see what is there. Here you have Vande Bharat trains have weak defenses against even cattle, says new safety report. There is a new safety report regarding the safety of Vande Bharat trains, and this report says they have weak defenses against even cattle. That is a bit surprising. And when you see, casual reader looks at the word cattle and moves on. But as a smart learner, one is preparing for competitive exams, you have to see, the moment you see the word cattle, you have to recollect an important rule. What is that rule? It goes with nouns. There are some nouns, they have always a singular form, but take a plural verb. I repeat, singular form, plural verb. 5 examples are important. Cattle, poultry, gentry, vermin, and clergy. And in the past, they gave many a time cattle and poultry. But nowadays, they are giving gentry. A typical sentence to test your knowledge: the gentry has accepted our invitation. For a candidate, excuse me, for a candidate who is not good at English from the exam point of view, who is not aware of the rules, the sentence seems pretty perfect. The gentry has accepted our invitation. Because the word gentry is in the singular form, has is a singular verb, but the sentence is wrong. Singular form, plural verb. So what is the correct sentence? The gentry have accepted our invitation. They have given many a time. One more way to test your knowledge: we have invited the gentries. That is also wrong. There is no word like gentries. We have invited the gentry. This you have to recollect. It talks about the safety of Vande Bharat trains. That's all from the front page. Let us go to today's editorial and see what is there. I'm not going to talk about this editorial, not about this. I will spend time on the second editorial from today's Hindu paper. It is about enabling legislation. There's one important word: enable. Disable, enable. Enable is a positive word. Disable, negative word. But what is the main idea? What is this about? Nomination of persons with disabilities to local bodies is a pioneering move. Definitely. It is worth reading. It is going to make a tremendous positive impact on a particular community, a particular group of people. And enable, disable, exactly. Jayalakshmi. Nomination of persons with disabilities to local bodies is a pioneering move. I'm sure many of you know the meaning of the word pioneer. Who is a pioneer? A person who does something for the first time. We use the word pioneer. Pioneering efforts, first of its kind, an important word. And the editorial opines. This goes with, again, Tamil Nadu State, Chief Minister Stalin. He has come up with this proposal, and it is the editorial opines. It's a very good move. It's a pioneering move. It is going to make a particular segment, marginalized people, happy, extremely happy. Let us see what it is. Affirmative action. Affirmative means what? Very firm, being strong, being firm. There's another word you have to recollect. What is that word? Assertive. I always tell youngsters at the workplace, you should be assertive. Means what? You have to be firm and you have to stick to your values or your standards. You should not give in or yield or surrender. Affirmative action remains one of the most effective ways of addressing historical wrongs and systemic deprivation. See, all these words are very important expressions. Historical wrongs means something bad was done in the past, something wrong was done in the past. Because of that, today we have reservations. Now, some people wonder why reservations? What is the justification behind? When we talk about reservations, we use one expression. What is it? Reservations are nothing but it is like they are like retributive justice. Have you heard of this any time? Retributive. Retributive. Because I'm not well. Who is this Shah? Only 1 or 2 days. I'm not getting time to design, and because I'm not well, I'm not designing. I'm presenting this way, but don't think it is going to be like this forever. Perhaps from tomorrow, I'll get the regular format, design format with vocabulary, then analysis, then mini mocks. For today, you have to bear with this format. Historical wrongs, retributive justice. Have you heard of that? Huh? Some students have responded. Retributive justice means correcting the wrongs done in the past. In the past, certain communities, they did not have the basic rights, the fundamental rights, the basic privileges. They were not allowed to enter the temples. They were not allowed to enter certain places. And to correct all these, they were deprived of the basic privileges. To correct that, today we have reservations. So historical wrongs and systemic deprivation. There are two important words here. One is systemic. Systematic is different. What is systematic teaching? Taking students from something simple to complex, easy to difficult, and interesting to not so interesting. This is what precisely I call systematic approach, systematic learning, systematic teaching. But what is the word here? You got to be very careful. Systemic means touching the entire system. There is a particular system. Entire system is touched upon. Then we use systemic changes. Means changes to the entire system, not one particular dimension of the system. Deprive someone of something. Deprive means to take away. Deprive the privileges of the downtrodden people. Means what? The downtrodden people don't have those rights. Two important words. It talks about affirmative action remains one of the most effective ways of addressing historical wrongs and systemic deprivation. To correct historical wrongs and to correct deprivation of the privileges to certain segments of the society, you got to be assertive, you got to resort to affirmative action. That's what the sentence means. The most recent attempt. Now, what is this affirmative action? The writer has to justify, throw more light, more information. The most recent attempt to address deep-rooted discrimination against persons with disabilities in Tamil Nadu is likely to have a far-reaching impact for the community. This is the most important thing. This is the stimulus. Based on this, the editorial has been written. The most recent attempt to address, to deal with deep-rooted discrimination. You all know the meaning of discriminate, to show bias or to show prejudice. Persecution, another word you have to recollect. But in this context, prejudice or bias towards people with disabilities. Deep-rooted discrimination against persons with disabilities in Tamil Nadu is likely to have a far-reaching impact, far-reaching positive impact. That is important. A far-reaching positive impact for the community. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin tabled 2 bills in the Assembly last week to increase the number of persons. The number of persons. The number takes a singular verb. A number takes a plural verb. That you have to recollect immediately. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin tabled 2 bills in the Assembly last week to increase the number of persons with disabilities in all local bodies in the state. It goes with giving representation to people or persons with disabilities in the local bodies in Tamil Nadu state. While one bill seeks to nominate persons with disabilities to all town panchayats, municipal councils, and municipal corporations with amendments to the Tamil Nadu Urban Local Bodies Act, the second intends to bring into law the decision to nominate one person with disabilities to all village panchayats, panchayat union councils, and district panchayats by amending the Tamil Nadu Panchayats Act. So it talks about the acts. One deals with at one particular level, the other one deals with a different level altogether. But in a nutshell, these bills enable participation for the people with disabilities. Mr. Stalin said, once these bills are enacted, there would be guaranteed posts for 650 persons with disabilities in urban local bodies, 12,913 in village panchayats, and 388 in panchayat unions, besides 37 persons with disabilities in district panchayats. There's a positive impact. What is the positive impact based on if these bills are enacted? These many people with disabilities are going to get a chance to represent. That is something very positive. At the moment, there are only 35 persons. Look at the numbers. Here, the numbers, if you look at the numbers, 650 persons, 12,913, then 388, 37. But looking at the present situation, what are the numbers? At the moment, there are only 35 persons with disabilities in urban local bodies, he informed the House. Besides ensuring dignity for persons with disabilities and eroding stigma and discrimination, this change would be empower the community, involving their representatives in decision making at the grassroots level. One sentence, this particular sentence is very important. You can learn very important words. And when it comes to descriptive English, you have to use, these are known as power words. Let us see what those words are. Besides grammar point of view, our students know besides. What is the difference? Beside means next to. There is no one beside me. Besides means in addition to. I teach English besides French. Means what? In addition to English, I also teach French. Our students know that. Besides ensuring dignity for persons with disabilities and eroding stigma. How many of you know the meaning of the word stigma? Erode. You all know geography, school level, you must have learnt about soil erosion. That is a different thing altogether. But here erode means to remove something slowly or gradually. Erode someone's confidence means what? Remove that person's confidence. And here eroding what? Stigma. Stigma is an important word. How many of you know the meaning of the word stigma? Stigma means a mark of disgrace. A mark of disgrace that goes with a particular profession, a particular quality, a particular person. Today, if you go to the villages, if you take scavenging as a profession, how many of you know the word scavenging? Scavenger. Scavenging, that is different. Who is this, Rajesh? That goes with botany, flowers. I'm not talking about that. The stigma is entirely different. Scavenging means before the advent of the Western people, before the advent of Britishers, the system in villages, a different system when it comes to removing human excretion. Today we have Western toilets. No one comes home and cleans the human excretion. And human excretion, there is one important expression, night soil. Have you heard of this any time? Night soil means human excretion. Euphemism, night soil. In the past, before the advent of Britishers or Westerners, in villages, today also it is being practiced in states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, though the government has banned. A person would come with a bucket and a broomstick. He would clean human waste either morning or evening. That person is called scavenger. That profession is called scavenging. And in villages, there's a stigma on that profession. No one entertains a scavenger because there's a stigma. I hope you guys got the meaning. Eroding stigma and discrimination, bias and prejudice. This change would empower the community, involving their representatives in decision making at the grassroots level. Grassroots level means the lowest level. When you take a society, we have the hierarchy, the top and the bottom. The top, they are known as what? Elite or elite, the cream of the society. Elite or elite, either way you can pronounce. And also we say the rich and the famous, the cream of the society. And as you go down, you have people who don't have the basic rights, basic privileges, basic amenities. These people are called downtrodden people, marginalized people, and alienated people at the grassroots level. When something like this is provided, obviously they have the right, they can express their problems, their representatives in decision making at the grassroots level. It is a role of the government to take along its citizens, particularly those who may have an impediment that might come in the way of their harnessing equal opportunities as the rest of the population. This is also an important sentence. This sentence talks about the responsibility of the government. Today, when we talk about center or the states, the center or the states, the owners, the responsibility is on the governments. And what is this responsibility? They have to always look for inclusive growth. Have you heard of this expression, inclusive growth? Inclusive growth means taking all the communities into consideration. The marginalized people, the middle class, the upper class, whatever, all the segments of the society you consider and you do something that is known as inclusive growth. This talks about that. It is a role of the government to take along its citizens, particularly those who may have an impediment. I've given this word many a time. What is the meaning of impediment? Block, bottleneck, impediment, hurdle, hindrance. All these words you have to recollect. Impediment that might come in the way. Come in the way means it could be a sort of block of their harnessing, extracting equal opportunities as the rest of the population. Imagine people with disabilities, they cannot extract or harness like others the powers they have or their whatever expertise they have. That cannot be justified. And this should not come in their way, this disability that might come in the way of their harnessing equal opportunities as the rest of the population. After the 73rd and 74th amendments to the Constitution that allowed for one-third representation of all seats in Panchayat Raj institutions and urban local bodies to be reserved for women, this talks about another segment of the population, women. It talks about the reservation for them. After the 73rd and 74th amendments to the Constitution that allowed for one-third representation of all seats in Panchayati Raj institutions and urban local bodies to be reserved for women, some states, including Tamil Nadu, increased this to 50%. At the national level, based on the amendment, 30%, one-third. But certain states, and among them, Tamil Nadu state also, increased to 50% reservation for women. Since then, the very raucous, have you heard of this any time? I think we have got for the first time. Please respond. Raucous means what? Loud voices, loud noise, loud party, and loud, something very loud and harsh, unpleasant. we use the word raucous. Since then, the very raucous and long drawn out battle was finally resolved in 2023, with the Women's Reservation Act being passed for 33% reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies. I'm sure you all know this. This will be effective after the publication of the census conducted following the Act's commencement. This will be effective means it will come into force after the publication of the census conducted following the Act's commencement. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu's effort to appoint persons with disability is the first such effort in the country at bringing a marginalized community not merely into the mainstream, but as leaders of society, thus raising their profile and larger acceptance, besides bringing change that will benefit the rest of the society. Very good. This is something like a good move on part of the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin. This sentence also talks about the positive impact, and it is the first of its kind in our country. Tamil Nadu's effort to appoint persons with disability is the first such effort in the country at bringing a marginalized community not merely into the mainstream. When we say inclusive growth, means what? You bring the marginalized people, downtrodden people, into the mainstream. You make them part of the mainstream. But as leaders of society, thus raising their profile and larger acceptance, besides bringing change that will benefit the rest of the society. Given the initial experience of implementing women's reservation in Panchayat Raj, where women Panchayat leaders were de facto replaced by the husband in decision making, it is important that the government ensures the benefit truly reaches the intended, in this case, persons with disabilities. What does it mean? When they implemented this reservation for women, what exactly happened at the grassroots level? De facto, I think we got this last week, means what? In reality, in fact, husbands became the decision makers, supposed to be the women, but husbands, they became the decision makers. And a word of caution from the editorial, when it comes to this particular policy, it should not be repeated, and those who should get the power, they should get the power. It talks about that. Given the initial experience of implementing women's reservation in Panchayat Raj, where women Panchayat leaders were de facto replaced by the husbands, by the husband in decision making, it is important that the government ensures the benefit truly reaches the intended, in this case, persons with disabilities. It's like a word of caution. They should be able to exercise their power once they get that authority, power and authority. That's all for today. And I would like to reiterate, from tomorrow, as usual, the regular format, I will design and bring the vocabulary part, analysis part, and mini mocks. From tomorrow, you can access the PDF. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. బాగున్నాను బాగున్నానమ్మా ఈరోజు బాగోలేదు